We're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Aftermath Hours, the weekly podcast of Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported website about video games, the internet, and everything that comes after. Aftermath is fully reader-supported at this time, so if you like what you hear, you can subscribe at aftermath.site/products. Also, from now on, I'm actually going to outline the topics that we're talking about before we jump into it.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
today, we are going to be talking about Silksong, Gamescom, and less rhythmically satisfying, Trump's tariffs on gaming and how they're Trump's tariffs and how they're impacting video games. I'm Nathan Grayson, and today I am joined by Chris Person
Hey guys, what's going on?
and Riley McLeod.
Hello.
And I just realized that I forgot to turn on my light, so you get to watch me do that in real time. Even adjust my settings, because see, then there's that one.
Yeah.
It's the wrong shade. I like this better.
Did you get the
And then we turn it up.
Did you get the ones that I gave you working?
Yeah, but I have not successfully made them work for me yet in terms of it being what I like.
Okay.
Also, more fun hardware or Nathan hardware updates. God willing, this will be the last week that my internet sucks absolute ass. I have entered the process of fixing it, which means that I spent a lot of time talking to Verizon people yesterday, trying to convince them that I live in the building that I live in. Because my building has two different addresses depending on the side of the street that you're on. And I know for a fact, because I have friends who live in the building, that this building gets FiOS. But only to one of the addresses that the building has. And so I now have to get on the phone with Verizon's like care team, which makes me want to strangle myself. And like tell them, hey, these two addresses are one building. You can do FiOS in both of them. Like it's entirely possible.
It's super confusing. When I got it, like I had to call a bunch of times and be like, do I get it? And they were like, yes. But then another person was like, no. And I was like, this just does not seem like a challenge. And then a guy came and he just set it up and I did, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, it was very challenging.
Yeah, like without a doubt. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, like it'll be, I mean, you know, the friends that I'm talking about live like 30 feet away from me, maybe less. It's like I would be shocked if they're like, nope, that's the limit. Like we simply can't do it.
It is fascinating that it's like almost like a jurisdictional thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not even just like there you don't have fiber or it's impossible to run fiber or even that like you could like theoretically get it because I'm sure it's just like they have to drill a little bit through a wall maybe that already exists. Yeah. It's literally just like no, sorry. That's that you technically live over the line in your own fucking house.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It would just be insanely goofy for them to be like, no, like this half of the building can have FiOS, but this other half of the building cannot. And like, here's where the line is. It's just like, why though? In any case, if that doesn't work, then I'm just going to switch service providers altogether. I'm just going to switch over to like, I guess Optimum is in my area.
No,
so,
don't do
wait,
it.
Really?
No,
but I mean,
never.
Nothing could be worse than this.
It can be. I'm telling you, do not do that. Do not do that. Optimum.
I mean,
Optimum
I don't think you understand
so bad.
how bad.
I've lived that way.
No, but okay. So all I have right now is access to from Verizon is their 5G service. 5G spends all day going in and out. Its speed is never consistent. And like, so everything that happens on the stream, which all of you have witnessed many times in terms of me like lagging out and stuff, that is 5G. And there's no way to fix that. This is as good as it will ever get. And it's the only service currently that Verizon offers me.
Yes, it is. Optimum is worse. Optimum was so bad that they almost got kicked out of the city and like crawled on their knees with their tail behind their legs to get back in. Like, look up the history of Optimum in this city. It is bad and it is worse than you think you can imagine. It's not just that it's like kind of shitty and that it drops out. It's that it just like straight up does not work.
Damn.
If you can, anything you can do to like blackmail fucking Verizon into doing this, like you gotta do, man. Because like,
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try my best on that front, obviously, because I want fiber again. The hilarious part is also when I lived in basically the same building, but around the corner. So like, there's another building that's attached to this one that I lived in prior to this. I had fiber. I had FiOS. Like again, this is a FiOS-rich area. It's just like, for some reason, Verizon doesn't understand that they are capable of giving FiOS to people directly, like right where I am. It's incredibly stupid. So anyway, I'm gonna fix that before next week's show, ideally, and then all will be well. And it will be like, sometimes I'll say things and you'll hear them before I say them in real life. That's how fast it'll be. Anyway, let's get on to today's actual topics. Let's start with Silksong because, hey, it's real. For those who don't know, Hollow Knight Silksong is a game that people have been waiting for years. It is the sequel to Hollow Knight, and the basic idea is that, it's just a really like Hollow Knight was a solid Metroidvania with a really nice art style, and people got really into like the waiting game for it. And so at every like event, every Geoff Keighley centric announcement, trailer bonanza, people were like, Silksong, Silksong, Silksong when? And it would never appear. And so it sort of took on this like vaporware reputation until finally at Gamescom opening night live, Geoff Keighley showed it off briefly, and then today it got a release date. And now it's a real thing that's coming out very soon.
It was sort of like sorry, I don't mean to step on you. You wrote the piece. I apologize.
Oh, I was gonna say because it kind of got hinted at the Xbox thing in June, and was it the Rogue Ally or some other thing they were doing? They should Xbox showed off a hardware, and you saw it playing on the hardware. And I think it's really fun that even though it was like Keighley got to kind of talk about it at Gamescom, but the actual thing everybody wanted was just like a YouTube thing, which I found like quite fun. Where I was just like, yeah, here it is. So I thought that was very cool.
It exists.
It wasn't a really thing.
Well, it's also like, it's not really the kind of game that you can do a bunch of like mini reveals for either. It's not like you can go, okay, now we've got this feature and that feature. It's like, no, you more or less know what Silksong is going to be. It's going to be a bigger, nicer Hollow Knight. And like that genre is fairly calcified in terms of kind of how it plays. They're not going to like turn it on its head. They're just going to be like, yep, it exists. Soon you will have more Hollow Knight.
Which seems nice.
I didn't play very much Hollow Knight. You need to try again. I as you know, because I hate double jumping, I hate Metroidvanias. And so I haven't gotten very far in it. But, Jason Schreier, our old colleague at Bloomberg, published like an interview with the developers today that basically says, oh, it just took a while. Which was kind of fun. I think people had been sort of thinking, oh, it's not real. I know there was like some kerfuffle about like, oh, the Gamescom demo is really similar to a 2019 demo. And so, if Jason's thing is also, correct, which I assume it is, they just took a while to make a video game, I guess, which I found quite fun.
Yeah, although I find that to be a funny concern. Like the demo is similar because we have this like back and forth in games, right? Where some of the time people are like, wait, there was a demo at an event and then the game changed substantially and it's been like downgraded or whatever, like Puddlegate for Spider-Man, all that stupid bullshit. And then now they're like, the demo is too similar to what we saw before. It's like, make up your minds. What do you fucking want? Like, back then they had made part of a video game and now they have made more of a video game.
Also, just like it seems like they were like you said in your piece, Riley, like they were just being normal. Everyone else was being weird about because okay, the defense I think you sort of allude to in that is it kind of became like a Last Guardian situation where it's like sometimes you have a little bit of fun with like the video game on the milk carton, like, hey, I haven't heard about that in a while. And sometimes, particularly when it's a follow-up to a very successful game, you kind of are just like, it becomes a running joke. And I'm sympathetic to that. And that's basically what, that level was. But there were people who are just like very like, one, I didn't realize that it had grown so much. Like the first game's sales had grown so much over time. And two, like...
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I did not know it was like 15 million. That's wild.
Crazy, but wild numbers. But also just like, at the end of the day, they were just kind of doing what we would like a lot of companies to do, which is I don't think they scaled up too much. They were just kind of just doing another one of those. And they took their time because they sold so much that game that they can. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, it's a success story. I think there are some interesting and kind of strange things about the thing. Riley, if you'd like to talk about it in relative to your piece, you can, but like...
No, I think, like I said before, I think it's funny that I watched it because I haven't played very much Hollow Knight, but I am like, news is happening, and I got
Yeah.
excited to watch it.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I
and
mean, I
oh,
think that to Chris's point, yeah, like they just instead of doing the because I think that so often, especially in video games now, an indie smash hit begets this like minor to massive scaling up into like kind of a different sort of company where suddenly you might, in addition to making games, become a publisher, do all this other stuff, try to make multiple games at once, split your core staff, have like each person direct something, and they are just like, no, it's going to be our same little group of like 3 people, and we're just going to make another game using the much greater means that we've amassed this time. Like, yeah, I think that if a lot of companies did that, this would be a healthier industry.
yeah, just we're over here right now. We'll let you know. We are doing something. Just keep you updated every once in a while. I think there is some strangeness with like there are no pre-release codes sort of thing, and I think that's like
Yeah, yeah, they're not going to do review code, which is interesting.
I like that's not. I mean, there is sort of. I saw people sort of like compare it to how like the Switch 2 kind of did. It's like kind of like who cares, and I think that um a point that was made. Well, I think they were also talking about like, oh, it's unfair to our early Kickstarter people, blah 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 blah, and
Which is a
which is not
weird.
the
Well,
point of criticism. You know what I mean? I guess it's
yeah. I guess to be fair, this is like what Jason says they said,
yeah,
which
maybe they're
which is not to cast doubt on it or
Yeah, but I
anything.
mean, Jason is pretty reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I didn't mean to sound like I'm casting doubt, but I was just noting that this isn't a quote from
Yeah,
them. This is
this
a
little
quote
known
to him.
reporter, journalist,
No,
whatever you want to call
oh
him, named
no.
Jason Schreier.
No, I don't
Yeah.
mean it that way. I don't mean it that way.
also shit can change. I guess is another thing. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
things
I
get
think it's true. I just think the reasoning, that we're getting the reason. Now I feel like I sound like an asshole. Never mind.
um but I guess the thing that I'd like to point out is something our friend Yusuf said, which is like it's kind of damning of games criticism that it's still positioned as, hey, I get to play this hype new game first early instead of something that's like necessary in order to advance the cultural understanding of games as an art. And I think that that's this sort of relationship, the weird embargo relationship, and like how people hit their numbers and like and those sorts of things are should be interrogated, but also I guess like so should the what games criticism is. You know what I mean? And like how it's being framed in this way of just like, oh well, Kickstarter backer, and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like so many ways about this because, like, I mean, I think comparing it to like, it's not fair to Kickstarter backers. Like, it's your game, that can be your reasoning. I find that a little bit weird because it's like, this is your job. Like, it's not like it's, I mean, I think sometimes when you get a game early, there is a bit of a like, oh, neat. But I don't
Yeah,
feel like it's like, oh, haha, like you're just doing your job. I think that like, it well, I've always kind of been of the mind that like, no publisher owes you code, and I
right,
always like never want to throw a fit about it or whatever.
right.
Like, yeah, okay. Like I can still do my job without it. You don't owe it to me. We are like on different, we're in different fields. Like, um I obviously not giving out early code doesn't mean that tons of people aren't going to crunch to get a day one something. Like, the beast still needs
Yeah.
to be fed, but also like that's not the game developer's problem, right? Like
Like it is and it isn't.
labor conditions in games journalism is like our problem, right?
I, I
Like,
think I think
Yeah.
it's I
I
think
think
the
that also,
go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
I don't know. I was going to say, I think that also for a lot of people, like, for better or worse, they're not thinking about the crunch angle. They're just thinking about, like, oh man, we're not going to be able to cover the game straight out the gate. And it's like, yeah, but in some ways, I think that's to the benefit of like sites or even, YouTubers or whatever else. Because then you have to get creative about how you cover something.
Hmm.
You can't just be like, here are my impressions, blah, because everyone's going to be playing it at that point anyway. This is a massively hyped game. And so people are just going to buy it out the gate. But yeah, so you have to just find other angles and be more interesting. And I think that that sort of benefits everyone. Like, I don't know. I think that pre-release code for some things has its place, but I'm not like overly enamored with the idea, nor do I think that that we would be worse off if like kind of the larger trend became that most games don't do pre-release code in the way that they
Yeah.
do now. I don't think
yeah,
that that would significantly hurt coverage, and in fact, I think it might
Mm,
improve it in some ways.
I mean, it is
Mm,
concerning. Like, see, like when you put it, I think which Autumn Wright did, if I recall, next to like the Switch thing and other things, like one wonders, is it a trend? Like, which is, 3 examples isn't a trend. But
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
did
say that's
kind of
not
see
that many examples.
yeah, no, but like we did see, the way that I think coverage has shifted to prioritize like streamers. Like I think it was kind of slow, and then suddenly it was like, oh shoot, like is there a world where companies just don't do that anymore or something? Like, and like probably not. Um,
I
but it is,
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think
well,
they are going to
we had the
phase out
same
the traditional
thing.
press because there's almost no
Yeah,
traditional press left. Give it
yeah,
a few more
yeah,
years, and it'll be like us and a couple other indie sites, and like they're not, it's just there won't be a system for including people like ourselves.
I will
But again,
say,
I think that's fine. We are an example of this. We're not reliant on the review preview cycle basically at all. And like, if they don't need us and we don't need them, then
I will say,
it
yeah,
doesn't really seem like anyone. Yeah.
that's the thing where I'm very sympathetic to them, I guess, is where it's like
Mhm.
they're doing well without this, so they can do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like I feel that way about
Mhm.
like, do I need to cover this game? No, I don't. I fucking own this site. I don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's a luxury you get in a different situation. It sounds like they have a comfortable situation. I think thing that's a little strange. I mean, I think that like you can't really extend too much from this. You know what I mean? Because I think
Mhm.
their circumstances are unique in that regard.
Oh yeah, they're
But
incredibly unique. Yeah, there's only one Silksong.
much in the same way, there's only one Nintendo Switch 2. You know what I mean? Like even within
Right,
Nintendo's
right.
oeuvre, like I think if Nintendo, like if on the long tail, like the 10-year long tail, not the like immediately one because it's a success, but if something happens in Nintendo due to like global forces, due to economic slowdown, just ends up not having the same strength long tail that the Switch 1 has, they might be in a different situation, like economically, if Switch 3 came out. You know what I mean? Like Wii U to Switch was a different situation than Switch 1 to Switch 2. You know what I mean? And so like
Mhm.
you work within the conditions you can, and you work with what press exists at the time, or against, like you have this sort of like combative adversarial relationship with, people who cover you, where they like oftentimes they need that, and oftentimes you need that, and we don't have to review the Silksong if we don't want to, and they don't have to send it to us. And
Yeah.
so we're in
Well, I
actually
mean,
weirdly certain ways we're in a similar situation, but also like it's complicated. I think I think I wish criticism was in a better
yeah,
place.
and oh yeah, and I mean, but I think to go back to that point, I think that if we're not so reliant on preview code and on or pre-release code and on like the review and preview cycle, criticism will ideally reach a better place because then like a lot of people who would do that kind of writing aren't sucked into that silo of like, okay, get your review up by this date, by embargo,
Yeah.
etc. And they can just sort of write in more interesting ways, which, I think that there used to be that kind of division between the people who were hitting embargo and then the like more thoughtful reviews and more thoughtful pieces of writing that would come out a couple weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem isn't that we don't have people who want to do either of those things. It's that the entire system has been gutted.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just don't really get much of either anymore. We get much more of the first of hitting embargo. But there are just far fewer people doing it.
I don't think it's embargoes that make, you can do a good review for embargo. Like I
You can
think a
do a
lot
good
of it
review,
is
but it's harder.
I think a
And
lot of it is the time between when you get how much time you have to play it and between when you get the
yeah,
code and the embargoes. And I think we've seen that, shorten in a lot of ways.
yeah,
I mean, I remember like Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Like Kirk's review was great, but he had that game, if I remember, for like ages, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I understand that there are things that prevent that from, being able to happen. But I don't know. I guess I don't necessarily hate embargoes. I think they serve a purpose. I personally
Mhm.
I just like having a deadline or I'll just never get to something.
Yeah,
So
that's
I at
nice.
least I like them for that, where I'm like, I've got to be done with this by this time. And I think that,
Yeah.
we have this luxury, like I think you both pointed out, to not have to do that kind of thing. But like other sites don't. That's how they work. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Again, for the
and I
time
don't think
being, like,
yeah, I don't think
and
it's
it's that
necessarily
thing of, what shape do those sites take in the years to come? Which ones survive, this ongoing great and horrible purge, all of
Mhm.
this stuff. I think that some of those sites will have to evolve into something that maybe looks a little bit more like what we do, where it's just more about, okay, what can you say that separates or differentiates you from the rest of the pack? Or what can you say? How can you write about a thing? How can you cover something that adds value instead of just being part of this giant noise chamber that currently represents how things are covered? That like initial launch week where just everyone's screaming about something and then no one cares anymore, or like they move on to the next thing, or they do care but it's a live service game, all these different possibilities. In any case, I think that something I wanted to convey is, we will absolutely play Silksong. Of
Yeah,
course
absolutely.
we will. It's one of the most anticipated games of the year. We will play it. We will say things about it. It probably won't be a traditional review. It probably won't be, it may not be on day 1 or whatever, or even day 3 or day 5. But, we'll have thoughts. We'll share them. They'll be interesting. You know how it is.
I honestly, love that for you guys, I guess, is the thing that about like everything about the piece was just like, yeah, good for you guys. You know what I mean? Like, it made me kind of happy that they just had a good time playing their game. Hope it's a good game. It's probably a good game. Who knows? But and I do like those. For the record, I do like doing a review of something like after the dust has settled sometimes. There's an advantage to having it in sort of a bottle chamber because you have to sort of interrogate your initial feelings without the ecosystem of reviews that already exist tainting you. But also sometimes that's how those games, like, sometimes the best criticism comes in an open field. And like, I think that's how I felt about Night Rain. Night Rain's doing well. Night Rain everyone's like, oh, Night Rain's kind of mid, and I was like, I think it's mid. It's kind of really good though. And now I think that the worm's kind of turned on that, and like you see these things with like all these games that that take a second for people to think about sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part. That's also, I think, if we're getting back to the embargo conversation, the issue with a lot of embargoes is that they only give you time to play the game, and then you've got to like furiously scrawl out a review and like 6 hours before embargo, when the most important part of criticism is just being able to sit with something, whether that means like playing it in little chunks and then thinking about each of those chunks, or finishing the thing and then just sort of chewing on it for 2 or 3 days and kind of stewing on what happened and what it meant to you and what you felt about the whole thing. Like that's the key, is just being able to inhabit your mind.
I love that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but I think one of the weird things about playing a game for review is like you just don't play it like a normal person. You play it in big chunks, and I think like I always try to feel hyper aware that it often definitely impacts how I feel about a game. A game feels too long, the end feels slow, and I'm like, does it, or is it just that you're playing this
I
5 or
still
6 hours
remember.
a day? Yeah, and that's weird.
I still remember when I reviewed Divinity Original Sin 2 for Kotaku, and like I had to and I was actually given the benefit of like getting to review it after it came out. Like I didn't have to hit embargo, but I was still like, rushing relatively speaking. And I remember like hitting the 80-hour mark on that game and being like, I know that I like this game, but right now I hate this game. Like I despise this fucking stupid game. Every flaw, every like little bump in the road, every annoyance is driving me insane in a way where it just wouldn't if I was playing it at a regular pace. But like playing it for that many hours, that much, just like, it got to me.
I did that. I felt that way. I felt the opposite about how I got to finish Death Stranding 2. I got to play 95 hours of that game. And I think that's the pace you should play that game at. I think it should be something that you like have a little bit of every day, and you just do your little chores and you hang out and like you slowly take parts of the narrative in, because otherwise like the ratio of what the story is to what the actual game is really lopsided. And if you just are absorbing like these long cutscenes and like trying to like go through an unfinished world without building any of the buildings, it's like, yeah, like those are different experiences. One is under deadline, and it's an abrasive game, so it's like you have these experiences where it's like at your own pace. Reviewing is actually allows you to find the correct pace of a game, which is not something that exists with movies. You don't have a like, I need to find the pace of a movie, because the movie's pace is given to you. It's set, it's fixed. You can't know when you're done. You can know when you're done with a movie. The movie lets you know when it's done most of the time.
Yeah, unless there's one way you can do it. If you're watching it at home, you can watch it at like 1.5 times speed, like a podcast or something. Everyone will have chipmunk voices and it'll be terrible, but you can do that.
Well, yeah, I think that also like having writing, big frame writing about a game when it comes out, like that does serve a reader need. Like I don't think it's like, readers get to read about the game, 2 weeks from now or something. Like there is it does there's a service that provides, right? And I guess it's like, I mean, in a perfect world, I guess, I don't know, we'd all get the game 4 months before everyone else. I don't know. It's a hard nut to sort of crack, I think.
I guess the question though is like, I don't want to spend too much time on like embargo and review because it's even this is sort of a little divorced from the original topic. But I will say, I think to that degree, it's like, but at that point, it's like, are you talking about it like it's a buyer's guide? Do you know what I mean? Are you talking about it less like a piece of art and more like a, I say this is worth your money kind of thing, which is like not always is usually a bad impulse, but not always. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I read a review of a game before I buy it sometimes to see if I should buy it. I don't want to write that stuff, but I think that like that stuff does also serve a need. You know what I mean? That is a thing, a service you can provide to a reader that has value.
Yeah. And it's just that increasingly, again, streamers and YouTubers and also just like user reviews provide that service.
Yeah.
And like, admittedly, those people are to varying degrees not necessarily experts. I mean, user reviewers definitely not. A lot of YouTubers and streamers, yes, in that regard, they're quite good at what they do, or at least like they are reliable and people watch them for that reason. But, it's still like when there's that much of a critical mass of people doing a thing, that's where most people are going to go to like for that thing. Yeah, which again is why I default back to, okay, then what can you as someone who like works at a website do that's unique?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about other Gamescom stuff? Because I would like to.
Well, first, we got to do one thing really fast because I prepared for this. There now looms the question of, given that Silksong is real and it's about to come out, what other super long-awaited games are left? What is the next Silksong, essentially? The one where people are going to be like, where is it? Why haven't we seen it? Now, the obvious answer is GTA 6. That has a release date next year. It's sort of already in that like real space.
That's real. That's like real to people.
Half-Life 3. People point out in chat.
I mean, Half-Life 3.
Pragmata coming out? Finally?
Yeah. Pragmata has been shown at some. That's Capcom, right?
Yeah. I like. I'm actually kind of pumped on that.
Yeah, I played it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right. Duh.
Yeah.
So I like somebody who was like,
"That's good. I liked it."
Someone's like, "That's technically a Mega Man."
Yeah, Pragmata is like a fucking 2000, like a Lost Odyssey ass kind, or not Lost Odyssey, Lost Planet ass, like mid 2000s video game. It's awesome.
That's all I need.
I really enjoyed the demo.
That's
yeah.
We gotta get covered that. Yeah, I don't know. It's also I'm trying to think of games that were announced that like are just kind of. I was gonna say whatever the guy.
People are saying
the guy who made Shadow of the Colossus' next one is already queued up.
Yeah. Whatever that ends up being. So people are saying Metroid Prime. That's also, I think, in the same space as Grand Theft Auto 6, where we've seen some of it. We don't have an exact date yet, but it is real. Let's see, Bloodborne 2. That's not. We don't know if we'll ever get that.
Real.
I think Wolf Among Us 2 is a good one.
The parameters are it has to have actually been like announced in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what?
The big one to my mind is Elder Scrolls 6. All we've seen is a logo, and it has been like 7 years now, since we saw that logo, and then that's it. Starfield came out; it was kind of a dud, and now we're just waiting.
Oh, there's a Nintendo Switch RPG that's like a cop RPG, and it's from a Japanese developer, and it's been in development hell for a minute. And it looked like it was like an anti-cop detective game, and I was really looking.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, it was by who the fuck was it? It was like not like Atlas, but like a level 5 adjacent. Maybe it was level 5. I gotta look that up. Anyway,
Factor 5. Is what a company, or maybe you're right. Maybe
Decapolice. It was
Decapolice. There we go.
Decapolice is mine.
Yeah.
Decapolice is so I want.
Yeah, that's also.
It was supposed to come out like 3 years ago. I want to say.
Yeah, the prequel to Octopath Traveler, Decapolice. But yeah, let's see. I also wrote down some others. Skate 4 already kind of exists, so that doesn't really count.
Oh,
Arc 2, Arc Survival Evolved 2. They've been working on that forever. We got that weird trailer with Vin Diesel, like fucking 8,000 years ago.
I was gonna answer.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that. Yeah, go
Nico
ahead.
in chat. There's a playtest of Militsoner that's out right now on Steam, which I was gonna check out after this recording. Also, the last night I think is not the guy. I was answering people in chat. The guy wound up being a Gamergator, and then I think it kind of disappeared.
Which one?
Remember, it was that the last night, right?
Oh, the last night. Damn. You know, that like pixel art kind of side-scrolling noir thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that was like what we first saw that, and God, I mean, I was still at Kotaku, so 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think that game just disappeared into the ether. I don't know if we'll ever see that.
Yeah, stuff came out.
Let's see.
Dev, right, and then
it was kind of like questionable. Another one, Fable. You know, like the one game that Microsoft hasn't canceled yet. Because I was gonna say like a whole raft of Microsoft games, but then like half of them got canceled this year.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, so much for that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the games that would have been on this list just got canceled.
Yeah, so
and you also have like
ending.
the Black Panther game, the Wonder Woman game, like these things that seemed potentially very interesting and then just got smothered in the cradle. And then finally, my sort of joke answer to this question that I think is also like a real one. The Prince of Persia remake, which you would think wouldn't be that difficult, but keeps getting delayed and pushed back, and we still haven't really seen anything substantial of it. But at the same time, I can't imagine people in like Geoff Keighley chats are gonna be like, Prince of Persia remake when? Like, show us the Prince of Persia remake.
Yeah,
that would be very funny if that was the new Silksong.
Yeah, there's not really something to like rally around.
I mean, I think it's Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, right.
People are just gonna, that'll be the one that people talk about all the time, and like any time that there's even like a hint of, you know, something fantastical or like whatever the vibe of an Elder Scrolls game is, like in a Geoff Keighley showcase, people will be like, oh, it's Elder Scrolls, and then when it's not, they'll be like, no, I don't care anymore, this looks horrible. But yeah, all right, so with that out of the way, let's move on to more Gamescom stuff. What are some games that y'all saw at the conference that you like?
Bubsy 4D. Actually, people who
honestly, yes. When I saw that, my immediate reaction was sure, why not? But not like in the negative or sarcastic way, in the way that like I played Bubsy when I was a kid. I liked Bubsy.
Did you play Bubsy 3D?
And like, no, I did not play Bubsy 3D.
I did. I owned Bubsy 3D as one of the first 2 games, along with Beyond the Beyond, that I bought with my PlayStation 1 after trading in a Sega Nomad, which is a complicated way of living.
Yeah, no, I had a Nomad back in the day.
Dude, this thing sucked. I loved it. It's
horrible battery life.
The worst battery life in history. I should look up Nomad mods. Yeah, I don't know. There was I think if anything, the thing that's going to be difficult is that they already got beaten to the punch by the arcade kids. I think that's what did it. The Bubsy visits.
Yeah, Arcane Kids.
Arcane Kids. Yes. Sorry. Bubsy visiting the James Turrell exhibit.
Which was a phenomenal.
It's probably one of my
favorite rules.
Gag
absolutely
games
amazing.
Ever. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And like this seems more like a kind of basic, like sardonic approach to a platformer. Like they had a little bit that parodied Sonic. They had a little bit that, you know, like it seems very referential. But at the same time, like I've heard good things about this particular developer. People are like, well, the developer making it is great, so it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, I will give it a chance for that reason, and simply because it's Bubsy, man. Let's go. Why not?
Death by Scrolling looks good, but that's because it's Ron Gilbert, and I like when Ron Gilbert does something that isn't an act. I mean, I like it when he does anything, but I also think that people forget his non-point-and-click output a lot, and I think that that's as important in certain ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
So see what that is. You know, who knows?
The one that stands out to me the most. Can we talk about the bus game?
Oh, wait, you mean
Yeah.
Train?
No, there's one with the
The train game. Sorry.
Denshattack.
Yeah.
You're talking about Denshattack.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
Yes.
It's literally. So it's the I think it was the one. There's that one manga panel where it's like the train is drifting across two different like pairs of tracks. It's like you know that's basically the game, which actually became a Densha to Go DLC, if I remember correctly. There is a real DLC like that's sort of like that. But no, they made Jet Set Radio, but you're a train, and I'm happy. It looks good. We are now fully in Dreamcast zone. It used to just be PS1 nostalgia with some Dreamcast adjacent things, and now it's fully Dreamcast. Maybe we still have some PS1 retro stuff.
Yeah, but no, it just looks good. Like it was the first trailer because it was part of like the pre-showcase, wasn't it? It wasn't even the main one, if I remember. And in any case, it was the first thing that stood out to me. I was like, "Yep, okay, I'm in." No, it was part of the main showcase. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I was like, yeah, yes, this is a game that I will play. It just looks dumb and fun. Like, and also effortlessly cool. So, yeah, in times 1,000.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
they showed a trailer for a trucking sim that has weather. I think Road Kings or something, maybe. I'm excited about that.
Is that made by? Go ahead.
I love Euro Trucks, so I'm excited for something that looks like Euro Trucks.
Yeah. Let's see. Another one that stood out to me just because I'm curious about it, and it's coming out soon, so we'll actually like get to see if it's fine. We'll finally get to see if it's good or not. Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Oh yeah, how did that one would have been on my list of never coming out games? I was real surprised by that.
Yeah, right. I mean, a couple years ago it was super on that list. Then they gave it a Chinese room, which is a good studio. Just a studio that is much better versed in like quote unquote walking simulators than they are in a kind of like, you know, not sandboxy, but like immersive like role playing game. But I will say that I thought the trailer looked pretty good, and I've been reading like all the previews, and people are like, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. Like I thought it was cool. Combat's a little bit weak, but the world and everything feels interesting, and like you have all these different options and everything. I'm like, yeah, this sounds like what you would want out of a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline sequel. Like,
so my
cool.
understanding is that 2 of the clans are hidden behind DLC. The DLC,
yeah,
like,
that's the only really shitty part, and it's like
it's
egregious.
day one DLC, which is pretty bad. You know,
yeah, basically, like if you want to unlock the 2 other clans, you have to pay like half the game's full price. Like you're paying like $30 or something. It's real bad.
That's really not good.
Yeah.
I would like to maybe, that's one of those like, I hope you figure that out kind of situations with me, because like I don't necessarily know how locked in they are to doing things like that, and I you don't want to like give like a full like judgment on what is in the DLC without doing it, but that feels weird, man. That just straight up does feel not good.
Yeah, I just wonder like how they came to the conclusion to do that, because like it feels, I mean, not predatory, but just like so out of line with kind of what you would, especially with a game where there's this much like vague doubt around it. There's this notion of like, is it going to be good? Like it's switched developers a couple times. It's been rebooted. Like it went to a studio that people weren't really expecting to work on this kind of a game. And like, I think that you want to do everything you can at that point to get people in the door, not to like try to milk the whales. And that feels like the exact wrong approach for this sort of game.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that was shown at Gamescom. I will say that like we already knew. It was just more like, hey, it's actually in the home stretch, like Ghost of Yotei and like things that are coming out more close. Resident Evil seems, I don't know where they're going with that one. Seems interesting.
Yeah, I mean the perspective switching stuff is interesting, especially like I saw that there's a mode where it switches perspective based on what the developers feel like is the ideal perspective for that scene or for that part of the game. I was like, that's kind of cool. Like that it will be going back and forth, or you can tailor it to your own experience, whatever you might want it to be. Like, okay.
And I mean, I'm probably the person who's gonna play like Ninja Gaiden Black 4 when it comes out. You know what I mean? Like aggressively, and probably have the strongest opinions on it of anyone here, because Black 2 is one of my favorite games, or Ninja Gaiden 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And but then there's a couple of ones where you're just like, huh. And like you know, Silent Hill, I still have weird feelings about the Silent Hill franchise. I feel like Konami just kind of moved on and didn't talk about how aggressively it collapsed. I don't know, like if there, how, to what point there is any continuity between the people who did what they did and like everything involved. But like I do actually have hope for that Silent Hill game, because it's not, I don't want to say it's not developed by like a weird like like it feels more internal, or it feels more uniquely like it's going somewhere interesting. And then you had like Black Myth, the new Black Myth game, and you know, it's like, as much as I like the first game, I'm not going to pretend like the guys who made that game didn't like just treat women egregiously. You know what I mean? Like, I think
they had some internal sexism issues that are documented. There's a piece on IGN about it.
I think it's worth. I think it's worth.
Yeah.
But I also am fully in the I think you can walk and chew gum element of criticism of like, I think you can sort of like understand a work within the context of like the conditions that created it. And I think that like it just looks like they're going to make more of that game. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll probably do really well, and it'll do well independently of any of us, because it's the first game was very much like you know, it's like Neja 2. You know, it's just like that's not even they don't even have to talk to us about that shit, dude.
It was a cultural event too, and I think that the impact that it had on like the Chinese game development scene will be felt for years to come, in terms of people making, you know, games in that mold, whereas before that was not really the thing that you did in that territory.
No, it is a cultural moment that is tied to like extremely fraught developers, and I think that like you can and one where you like, I mean, the animated pieces in the first game were just like some of the best animation I've seen in any video game whatsoever. So it's just like you can talk about these things, but also like there's, you know, it's just like that feels weird, and then like Zero Padres, and Zero Padres was like the Zaum game was like. Everybody
from the
was
makers
just
of
like
Disco Elysium, for those who don't know.
The same week that like another like let's talk about Disco Elysium video dropped, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not as negative on it. I just don't think it's gonna be what I want out of a Zaum game.
It's Parades, right? Zero.
Oh, is it Padres? Is it Parades? I thought it was Zero
You
Padres.
said Padres, and
I've been misreading it as
Padres.
Padres because I thought that's what it was. I thought it was Page. Is it
I
Zero
thought
Parades? Fuck, dude.
I thought I was.
I'm sorry. I'm getting that Zero Padres. I'm sorry. Zero Parades.
It is Zero Parades.
That's my bad, dude. I'm sorry. I thought it was,
that's really funny though.
Because Zero Padres does sound like a fucking game you would make in like a vague way, like there's no fathers.
When you said it, I thought, wait, Parades doesn't make any sense. He must be right.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, neither of them. I mean, Zero Padres kind of makes more sense too, because it's like this, like that's the kind of like vaguely edgy title you would expect from a game like that, where it's like there are no fathers, there are no rules, and like particularly where it's like Zero Parades for so and so, Zero Parades for blah blah blah. It's like no fathers for so, you know. So
no fathers, no kings.
Yeah, that's what I
men.
thought. That's why I was parsing it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like a lot of the people still there worked, I think, on the director's cut, but none of them. There's like no continuity left in the studio.
Yeah, between this and the original Disco Elysium. Yeah, I believe there is none.
And
which is weird. And then I saw people online talking about it, specifically like Timur from GameSpot, talking about it in the context of like, yeah, but we can't hate the creatives for decisions that were happening like over their heads. And it's like, yeah, I guess so, but you
I
can like
don't know.
not support a shitty business. And also like these people still to some degree chose to work there. We're not talking about like a Ubisoft or something of that
Yeah.
scale. Like this is a much smaller company.
I
And so I don't think that the same sort of thinking necessarily applies. Like I don't know. It's a really weird case. Like I can't really think of another game where
Yeah.
things exploded in this exact fashion.
I don't have to be mean to people who continue to work there, but I also don't. I'm not excited about it. Like they're not beholden to my excitement the same way that like people who make a deeply important game to me are beholden to or I find to be beholden to my excitement. Like those are different things. It's like it cuts both ways. It's like they don't necessarily need my ire. It's just like oh man, brother. Art looks nice. Like I don't know what that game is. The art looks nice. That's basically where I'm at. And you know, I also don't doubt that the people who would join that company can produce something good. You know what I mean? Like I don't doubt that. It's just it's always going to feel weird. In the same way that it's always going to feel weird to play a Silent Hill game, you know, like that's the thing. It's always going to feel weird to play Black Myth Wukong. It's always going to feel, or Black Myth, I forget the other name, but like it's
whatever the new one is.
I know what it's referencing, but there's these like conditional things where it's like, you know, you sort of live within the space of your own heart, I guess. I don't know about like how something that was important to you or became flawed, and I don't know. Also, I did watch the entire Disco Elysium follow up, and it is wow, that got more complicated. It's still getting more complicated.
Yeah.
You guys settle that. You guys should just all right. Take all the original devs, and we're going to do a retreat. Trust fall exercises. That's what we're going to do. You're going to do the big parachute. We're going to do one-word story. We're going to do... I don't know, man.
Right. Just get the old gang back together.
Just get the gang back together.
Make everyone feel warm and fuzzy. And they'll be like, you know what? Let's put aside our differences, actually. That was very nice. Let's make a whole new video game. And if they're having a little like retreat in a cabin or whatever, there's a solid chance they will play a tabletop role-playing game. And hey, that's how we got Disco Elysium in the first place.
They don't even necessarily have to like each other. I would just like them to like not be passive aggressive, or maybe that's how you live. Who knows? It would be nice, just so I don't have to keep watching like long YouTube videos about it.
Yeah, would be nice. All right. Speaking of things that are not nice in the least, let's talk for a quick moment about how Trump's tariffs are impacting video games, because they keep doing that. The most recent news in that regard is that the PlayStation 5 is now getting a price increase. It's only going up like $50, which isn't that bad, but it's still bad. It's still not the kind of thing that you want happening this far into a console's life cycle. And, you know, we recently had all of the Switch price increases as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a clear knock-on effect of these tariffs that nobody likes. Yeah, I don't know. What is there to say beyond this is bad?
Is this sort of the first era in which like consoles are getting more expensive as their lives go on? Because the same thing happened with the Switch and with some other ones, if I remember correctly. And I assume it's just the tariff stuff, but it's definitely weird to be like, how is this older console getting more costly?
I think it's I mean, I think to the extent that like Trump's tariff stuff hasn't seemed to impact him, like at least as much as the immigration stuff has, or I think it's just that it's one of those things that takes a really long time. You know what I mean? Like I think that supply chains, in order for them to exhaust themselves, take a while. And I think the second it really starts kicking in and everyone realizes you kind of can't undo what you're doing, it's going to be bad. I don't know. I think it's such an own goal. Like, I don't know. What do you like? It's one of the many examples of like, well, this will surely shore up the domestic PlayStation 5 market. We're going to are all going to fucking start making our own bespoke PS5s in America. It's just as simple as
Yeah.
that. Which honestly,
I'm
if
gonna
that
make.
I would.
Well,
I
let's start
would.
making them out of like wood. No, but you would actually make a real
I would
one.
do
Yeah,
it.
you-
Yeah,
I would.
I would love to see the Chris Person PlayStation 5.
I would save $35 and it would look like shit.
Okay, but this is sounding like a blog. I mean, I think
No,
that it'd be very hard to make.
that's very hard.
It's a lot of
That's
proprietary
extremely
equipment. I know.
proprietary. They have a
Well,
lot.
you
Yeah.
could just-
No, you'd probably get arrested.
I would get
if you-
arrested.
well, not if you pulled the disk drive out. I mean, besides the it's just kind
This
of a
coming from
PC.
Riley, formerly wanted by the feds, McLeod. Now here's how to not get
I
arrested.
think you could do it. I mean, what would you're a consumer. What would you get arrested for? You're not selling it. You can make whatever you want, right? Is it
Yeah, I mean,
illegal
you
to
probably
make your own
wouldn't.
dis-
I
is it
guess
illegal
if I
to make
made a
your own
blog
disk
about it,
drive?
they might. If it was Nintendo, I would get sued.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation.
But
Without
people have already
a doubt.
made that.
Yeah, you'd get
kinda
sued and
happen.
put away for 50 years by
Yeah.
Nintendo.
I would
Yeah.
be in like a chain gang from like a movie from the 40s. You know, like I would.
Yes.
It would just be bad. It'd be like in an early.
Yeah, with that
talkie.
one guy who is already in indentured servitude to Nintendo, is giving them a portion of his income forever.
Wasn't that guy
Yeah.
British? I don't know.
I don't actually know,
They were-
but
yeah,
the
they
point
were-
still stands.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
you and him and some other folks that Nintendo find
Oh, yeah,
on like
Bowser.
an emulation forum.
Not Doug Bowser. It's
Yeah.
different.
I mean, I want to hope that like PlayStation would just send you an angry letter, but I don't know. It depends what you were doing with it. Can you like for your
If
own
I started
home use-
selling them, sure, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yes.
But like,
Yeah.
again, I would make no money, and it would not be a profitable endeavor, and it would just be a cool thing I did once. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I guess the
Wow.
point is larger that like, there's no like Intel's not in a good place. Like, if you're talking about like domestic,
Mhm.
like semiconductor production, it's like Intel's not going to pick up the pace. This is all going to come right as the fucking crypto market, fingers crossed, finally tanks, because everyne's everybody's just kind of like, yeah, this isn't good. This is
you
Wait, do you
not
mean
AI
crypto or
or-
AI?
AI. Sorry.
Yeah, all good.
It's easy to confuse them.
Oh, sorry, not
Different
crypto.
type of
Yeah, the
thing.
AI boom. I apologize. History rhymes too much. No, the AI boom is going to sort of I think it's still going to be around in the most annoying and destructive ways, but it will, Zuckerberg announcing a data center that's the size of Manhattan is like, and then they just did an entire hiring freeze on all of their new AI employees. It's like, buddy, this is not going well, is it?
Yeah.
But it's gonna
another-
collapse. Like the bar, like what the fuck is Nvidia gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, what is any of this?
Yeah,
gonna
I
be?
also I don't know if this was good data or not, but I saw somebody suggesting that like all of the money being spent on AI or poured into it by these big tech companies is like holding up the US economy to a degree
Yeah,
that
that's what I
if
mean.
it all collapses, then like we are instantly in recession mode. So that's not super duper good.
No.
Yeah.
Nvidia
anyway.
stock alone is like Nvidia is what is it, the second or third, maybe first, like most highly valued company, and if that goes away, that is like load bearing. It's not good. And meanwhile,
Yeah.
China is just releasing hover cars and making solar voltaic farms and shit, and like we're doing none of the shit. We're just like betting all the farm on it.
If the economy has to collapse, like at least Sam Altman and co will go down too, God willing. Like
No.
I'm willing to have
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
willing to have
no,
a
they'll
second
just move on to the next
festival
No, they
with
won't.
this.
Sam Altman has
Yeah.
been on like every major grift for the past more than a decade. And we'll just jump to the next one, whatever it is.
Scammers
Like,
never
people,
get punished. In fact, non-zero chance they
Yeah.
bail out the AI industry, and it is worse than 2008.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
think
Actually,
of-
yes. You know,
I think that's
I figure,
probably
especially given how much, like all those folks, love AI and are in bed with it.
But-
I'm sure that they'll try to bail it out.
but and then it won't work. The bailout won't work. But
Yeah.
the
Of course, it won't work.
the thing about it is that I find really is that it's just all own goal shit. You know what I mean? It's all self-cannibalizing. It's all needless. It's all without a plan. And like, I don't know, you're seeing a contraction in just like people being able to buy stuff. Everything is expensive. He's making it more expensive. It's not going to be good for games long term. It may be good for the world. It may be good for the world to decouple themselves from us and make like the BRICS buck happen.
Yeah, without a doubt, it would be good for the world to decouple themselves for us, though it will be, without a doubt, a very painful process, as it is when any empire falls or when, a major supply chain gets cut off.
Yeah.
Or when a major purveyor, I guess, of your supply chain gets cut off. But yeah, or not purveyor, a like major client. Anyway, another thing of vastly less significance that is connected to all of this that Ethan over at Kotaku pointed out is that effectively all of these price increases on consoles are a massive tax on playing Grand Theft Auto 6. He did like a quick blog where he pointed out that a lot of people who probably set out this console generation will, for Grand Theft Auto 6, likely buy a new console finally, and they will be doing it right as prices increase. So, could have done it before, didn't, and now they're going to be spending even more money than they normally would have, which I do find interesting. It is this very strange, as we were saying earlier, it's this really weird curve for a console life cycle that you have all these people coming in late because Grand Theft Auto 6 took so long, and then when they do, the price is higher, not lower. It's like, haven't seen that before.
A friend of mine said his parents had to like replace their TV, and the Costco circular was just like twice as much for their OLED now, which is not, but or like 50%. Sorry, not twice. That's anecdotal though. I gotta look into that. I'm very curious what things that have kind of settled down, like TVs and monitors, like what prices on those end up being. I got fucked on buying a power supply for my arcade cabinet, which I had to pay an extra $35 on a $95 power supply. It fucking hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, this whole sucks, dude.
Yeah, it really does. But you know what doesn't suck? The mailbag.
That's true.
Which is maybe one of the greatest inventions in human history.
What if it sucks?
Also,
we're gonna feel that. I hope it doesn't suck.
Yeah, it never sucks. It's always wonderful. By the way, if you'd like to contribute to the mailbag, you can do that by subscribing to Aftermath at aftermath.site/products and subscribing to the member tier, which gets you access to our Discord. That's where people ask the questions, and the Discord is great. You will immediately not regret your purchase because you'll meet a lot of cool people and you'll get to talk to them about video games and other fun topics like health and fitness and music and really whatever your heart desires. Anyway, you should go do that if you haven't already. So let's look at some questions. From Metroid. What would be the elements of the tutorial level for independent games journalism website simulator? All the business stuff that Riley had to learn how to do.
Boo.
Is it the would it the I feel like that's like an advanced. I feel like Riley, you're in the end game. You're like in the post game DLC where you have to like we're all in collective mode and stuff right now versus the like I think if you're in the tutorial it's like you have to field passive aggressive Nick Denton questions that are sort of sexist, but also too British to be clearly so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it has to include like one weird thing about the CMS that doesn't make sense. I was thinking like whenever I had to teach new Kotaku writers about the CMS, it was like remember how we had to star the images, and then we all had that big fight about whether or not you really did have to star them, and like new writers would be like, "Why do I have to do that?" And I'd be like, I don't. And I remember once the Ernie from Tech, like we were at like a party and he like came storming over and he's like, "You don't have to do that. Like I fixed it. Stop telling people." And I was like, "No, you have to." And like, so I feel like it would include something stupid like that, some weird dumb thing that nobody knows why you do. I don't know if our CMS has that a little bit.
The Superman, the Superman movie shows a CMS. By the way, it shows them putting things into a CMS dramatically.
Did they like make a custom CMS just for that movie, or like did they mock up a custom CMS?
Well, it has like a draft ready, proof ready, like those buttons, and you see them click all of them while they're in a hover thing. It's very like lib coded like journalist things, but they actually did get a real. It looks like they got a real CMS, and I'm like, damn.
That rules. Let's see. Another element of the tutorial would definitely be like fielding online harassment. Like, the first time that you get hate mobbed. That might be its own spin-off game, actually. Let's see. From Jason Sands Argonauts. Since you've mostly broken from the need to play all the new things when they're new, how do you decide what you want to play next? Not asking advice, but curious about y'all's thought processes. Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of things for me. Sometimes it's just wherever the wind takes me. It's like, I see a thing that seems interesting, I'm going to check it out. But there's still an eye toward, hey, like this game is interesting and could be covered on the website. So, for example, like I downloaded like Sword of the Sea or whatever the other night. I want to check that out just because like it looks cool. It's a game about surfing around on a sword. It has big time Journey vibes. So I will play that both because I personally am interested in it, think it looks neat, and also because like that could definitely go on the site. It's a new video game. Why not? So it's that kind of a thing.
I downloaded before this Blast Rush LS, which is I think a shmup that seems interesting, and it was literally like a friend who I follow was like, "Hey, you should check this out. It's a good retro shooter." And there's like fucking 5 really good. Like it's been a really good year if you're into like shmups. You know what I mean? Like which is a really niche category of people. But yeah, it looks neat. It seems like there's I literally just is like whatever comes across my transom, and if somebody has like a decent angle on it, then I'll prioritize it, or like just whatever I liked previously. Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing it's cool that I think there's less hand wringing for me about covering indie games here than there was at bigger sites where I think that they were a little harder to justify sometimes. And so I feel like I play a lot of anything that like seems neat. I'm like, oh, I can like, cover that now. I think I definitely pick games still, or maybe more with an eye toward like, can I write about this? But yeah, I think I just before this is downloading a ton of codes I got for indie games, and I'm like, how will when will I play all these? Eek. So yeah, I think finding like different kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I think for me also like I think that anything I play in my mind, whether for pleasure or intentionally for work, it's always in the back of my mind of like, how can I write about this? So for example, like I've mostly just been playing Warframe recently. I've decided to sort of like try to become a single issue gamer, by which I mean one of those people who just plays one game just to see what it's like, and do that for like 6 months. So I'll probably write about that in some capacity, just the experience of being like, yeah, I just have this one game.
You already went there.
Or like over the course of it, I'll do a series of diary entries. And I just have like a couple larger Warframe related pieces in the works from TennoCon anyway. But yeah, so like that kind of a thing too, where I'm like, how could I transform my life as someone who plays video games for the like edification and entertainment of others? I always have enjoyed that idea, and I want to do more of that.
I mean, it's our responsibility and our job, I think, a bit, right? But it's hard to know when. I think we're lucky, and I think we inherited this from Kotaku too, that you can write about games long after there's sort of giant finger quotes over. Like I was just stressing out about, oh God, I really haven't gotten anywhere in Clair Obscur. Like, shoot. And like probably before the end of the year I should finish that game. But like people will still want to read about it when when I get to it.
I gotta finish Deltarune. I got halfway through the 1 and 2 replay. I'm almost done on hitting chapter 3 and 4. Memory serves. But I needed to do a full replay on it because it's been like long enough that I wanted to keep it fresh again.
All right, from Jack Springs Eternal, the one-off return of Cube Talk. You are in a doctor's waiting room with nothing to entertain you except a bucket of wooden cubes painted in primary colors. What do you do with them? What do I do with them?
You try to build the biggest tower that you can to inconvenience everyone around you. Obviously,
this feels like the plot of the movie Symbol, and I think I would act accordingly.
Yeah, I think that I would definitely slot them into a series of Resident Evil style puzzles because, if they're all primary colors and they go into different places, probably in various wings of the doctor's office, there are different locked doors that I've got to get past. And then that will take me eventually to a final boss encounter with the doctor, who I'm sure will mutate into something absolutely horrifying. Then it'll be a good old fashioned knockdown, drag out slobber knocker. And and then I win, and then I get to go home.
Slobber knock? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a term for a fight. Have you not heard that before? Slobber knocker.
No.
Because like you're hitting each other in the face and spit is going everywhere. I guess it's an old timey phrase.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like some shit from the fucking 40s. Like that sounds like like something that shouldn't sound sexual, but it is.
Yeah. I guess it kind of does. But no, it's very much a why I oughta kind of phrase. Put up your dukes, all that.
Oh, it's a 90s.
All that
Someone's
bullshit.
saying it's a 90s thing.
Oh, it's 90s? Damn, I would have assumed that it's from the 40s or something. Wow. Well, good job to the 90s for making something that sounds like it's from a different era. All right. From Birds Say Trans Rights. What are your favorite birds? Personally, I'm pleased by pigeons, raven about ravens, and mad for mallards. Plus, I love every single other bird in the world. How about you?
I was watching a friend's dog this week, and I was walking the dog in the morning.
That is not a bird.
Well, I'm getting there. There was a lady, and she had a parrot, like one of the cliche, like I don't know if it's a macaw or what the heck it is, a big, bright color.
And what color was it?
It was like red and blue, one of those ones,
I think maybe a macaw.
Face. Yeah, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I walked by it, and obviously she must be used to people flipping out. And I was like, "Hello," and it went hello, and I was like, "Shut up!" Like what? And it was so cool. And this reminds me that there's a laundromat in my neighborhood, and it has 2 parrots outside, and they've been there like forever. And I remember I walked by them once, and I was so excited by parrots that I yelled "Get fucked!" And of course, one of them went "Get fucked!" And I felt awful. But anyway, somebody stole one of them recently, and I can't remember if they got it back.
That's a shame.
It was like a neighborhood crisis. Parrots were stolen, so I guess parrots maybe. Someone in chat lives in the same neighborhood I was in. Anyway, so not necessarily parrots, but maybe parrots. They're cool. What is their deal? They're just out there being parrots. It's nuts.
Yeah. Parrots are great. I am my favorite kind, and I'm biased on this front, is without a doubt the umbrella cockatoo, because I had one growing up. We decided to, and like you should never buy a parrot. Parrots are awful pets unless you can dedicate your whole life to them.
Literally,
This woman
they
had
are
it
very smart.
26 years. I asked her, I was like, "How long have you had this bird for?" She's 26 years. My God.
They usually, parrots often have the same lifespan as people. The cockatoo that we had was projected to live for like 70 years. She did not, because we were not able to take proper care of her. She just withered away due to neglect. Not neglect in any sort of intentional way, but just in the sense that busy household. We weren't always home. She was just sort of sitting in her cage, alone and unoccupied, and as a result, just became very neurotic. Picked her feathers out, had a lot of other issues, and then died from a weird sort of I don't remember exactly what ended up killing her, but yeah, which is a shame because she was my pet when I was a kid. But the problem is then I got older, I became a teenager, I went to college, and then I wasn't around anymore. But I will say, great kind of bird, very gentle, very nice. Well, not gentle if the bird is jealous of somebody else in your life, then they go after that person and attack them. But very smart, very good at learning words, all that stuff. Anyway, one of those pets that still appears in my dreams sometimes.
I will say, guinea pigs also are social animals, and you cannot have a single guinea pig because they are herd animals, and similarly will die of loneliness. They are you have to have them with other animals, otherwise they will not be in a good way. Shoebill. I like a shoebill. I think the shoebill. I mean, honestly, if I had animal, I would hang out with the most, any corvid, basically. So ravens, crows, I would probably like to see as a friend. But a shoe bill I would like just to see occasionally, like on top of a roof. And also, if you've never been in a
Mm.
pigeon coop, I have been in a pigeon coop before. Surprisingly clean animals. You wouldn't think, if they're
Huh.
kept well, and also very smart. They're basically doves. You know, they're rock doves, basically. Kind of the same
Hmm.
level of intelligence. You know, and kind of the same thing. And but I'm a shoebill and a and corvid man.
I'm not a birding guy, but I feel like I know a lot of people who are. And sometimes, like, I'll be walking. I was a few months ago, maybe, I was walking down the street and a bunch of people were looking into the sky. And I went, "What are we looking at?" And it was like some hawks. And I feel like every so often, bird people, you have these like lovely encounters with bird people where they're like, "Look at that cool bird." And it's like, yes, and a bunch of adults are just going to stand here and go, "Wow." And I always find that like really, really lovely. It's such a lovely experience to have.
All right, from Sleepy Doggo. Do you have any advice for a newbie writing a blog post? Um,
Mm.
I mean, it depends on what your intentions are. Like, what kind of blog are we talking? Are we talking like just some personal writing about, what happened to you in your day or at some point in your life? Are you talking about video game writing, criticism, etc.? Is it for an audience, a larger audience? Is it for, a few friends? Is it for yourself? Like, we got to start with all these like basic questions, because otherwise I could give a piece of advice for something meant to go larger, like, make sure to meticulously craft your headline. Or it could be like a diary entry style thing, in which who cares about the headline? Different purposes.
I have two. One is which I think sometimes when people are trying to start like a blog, like a Substack kind of a thing, I think you can fall into putting on a voice that doesn't work. Like just write
Mm.
like yourself. Don't try to be a guy.
Yeah,
You
right.
know
Like you
what I
talk.
mean? Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think
that's probably
two,
piece of advice number one, right? Like write like you speak.
yeah. Well, not how I speak. I write better than I speak. But they just, yeah, like just write
Hmm.
write normal. And I think too,
Yeah,
it's really hard when you write on the internet, I think, to balance remembering that you're writing for an audience and that you're trying to communicate something to other people, and not getting in your head everything you think an audience member might think or say and rebutting it. Like I definitely will, in the middle of writing something, suddenly be like, I'm fighting with imaginary commenters who are mad at me. And some
Yeah.
of that is really healthy and good. And you need that. And you need to think about, oh, this won't go over well. Will this,
yeah.
what will
You
people
you
think
just
about
started
this?
fighting with the
Or,
imaginary commenter
yeah,
about
no,
the
right,
imaginary
exactly.
commenter
And
just
I mean,
now. You did
because
it.
I, yeah, because I don't want to say like don't think of, because I think that a lot of writers, especially I think in this kind of new, I don't want to say like new era of blogs in terms of like Substacks, personal blogs that nobody edits. I think that you are just sort of talking to hear yourself talk sometimes, and I think that that's a bad habit. Like the purpose of writing is to, if you're putting it out for people to read, a purpose of writing is to communicate something from inside your head to someone else, and you have to remember that they're part of it. But like, yeah, don't let the fake people get up in your head, too much, I think.
I found like being a regular writer fairly like came to me better when I was just writing about things I enjoyed. I don't know. That's a very basic thing, but like also like it's sort of at odds with professional writing, but like if you really care about something, you're very passionate about it, there's a chance that other people are, and that if it's really obtuse or specific, that's not always a sign that it'll be accepted, but it's oftentimes a time that a way that it will be underserved with a lot of people. Like I think there are times where somebody will be like, very frequent, like I was looking for this exact thing, and you blogged about it, and it felt like personal to me. And I think that can often be like figure out what people haven't blogged about that you care about a lot, and that's a good place to at least find something for yourself.
Hmm.
But don't get too cute with
All
it.
right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna skip I Once Was a Cat's question because we already answered it earlier in the show. Let's see. On to Boolean. Given the rising costs in gaming, Have you heard from any gamer friends or family members that are considering dropping the hobby completely? Wow. I have not, but have either of you?
No, I should
No.
talk to my sister about it though. I'm sure it's affecting her, like her kids. She must buy them less stuff. I'm gonna ask her about it. A good idea. That would be a good blog
Yeah,
for
that's an
someone to
interesting
write.
idea for a
Yeah.
piece. Is like talking to
Hey,
people who are giving
yeah,
up gaming because they can't afford
yeah,
it anymore.
Good question.
Yeah,
I
you
am
should.
someone should do
curious.
that.
Yeah, someone should. I am curious what um the economic impact of Roblox getting its ass handed to it is. Does there just is there like is it substantial enough if that company goes under or like gets its ass beat
I
aggressively?
don't think they're going to go under.
I
I think
know.
that they will. I think that what this will look like is similar to what's happening on other platforms that are getting hit with like age verification stuff in the UK, where they will have to crack down on and like Roblox already has some age verification stuff in it as of pretty recently, but they're going to have to implement that like very stringently, and it's going to have like, yes, it will hopefully help stop predation, but it will also like have a chilling effect on people's ability to create stuff, and it'll make for a much more like locked down sort of platform. I think that's what we'll see. But Roblox isn't going anywhere.
I
It
don't think
is
it's.
so incomprehensibly massive. That company is
Yeah,
not
I get it. I
going
get
to
it. I
get
get it. I
beaten
get it.
by some lawsuits.
I also think that people. I guess the thing is, I'm curious how fickle people are, and if that's like a pebble in a shoe situation, or if it's like I don't know. They'll probably be fine. I just want them
No,
to face
no,
any
that would be like
consequences.
YouTube dying. There's no way.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. From George. Here's an odd question talking point re Silksong. For the past few years, devs across the industry have talked about being terrified of a stealth drop of Silksong or GTA 6, potentially leveling their launch plans by way of sucking all the air out of the room for features, streaming, etc. The devs themselves said they had the privilege to not worry about money and weren't paying attention to social media, but especially since they said they knew in early 2025 they're going to hit in the fall, should they have made an announcement then so devs could have gotten out of the way if contractually able? I guess in an ecosystem where Innersloth, Local Thunk, and other breakout successful devs have tried to give back to the game dev community given the terrible times, it feels to me when you have that much impact, giving people a heads up could be good.
I guess
I
that's
mean,
also
I
not
don't know,
their
maybe.
business. That's not. They're gonna. I mean, I guess it would sort of be nice, but also, have you seen the calendar for that? What's coming up.
Yeah, for October.
It's
Well, I guess this is coming out in September, but yeah,
but
the
still,
calendar
the
in general
fall
is ridiculous.
fall got big, and I think a lot of that was how much of that do you think was like people reshuffling because of GTA? I don't know, or like not GTA.
I think that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that also like, this is perceiving gaming as a monolith, which it isn't. I think that Grand Theft Auto 6 is, big enough that it will impact other games' sales. Despite how well Hollow Knight has sold over time, I'm not convinced that it would do a similar thing.
Yeah.
It might impact indies to some degree, but even then, I don't know. And also, one of the hallmarks, because we don't know how much Silksong is going to cost yet.
Yeah.
One of the reasons people liked Hollow Knight so much was because it was low priced. And it was not very expensive. It was lower priced than a lot of other games coming out at the time, and it was tremendous bang for your buck. And in fact, here's my hot take: I think Hollow Knight is okay. I didn't like it that much, and I thought that it got a lot of goodwill because it was a lower priced game. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah.
Spicy.
So like, I don't know. I think that I'm not sure that they have that responsibility. I think that they've done everything just kind of like, I think they have done things correctly here. They worked on the game until they felt like it was ready to come out, and then they announced the date pretty close to when it was basically complete, and now they're going to release it. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think if it's $15 still or 20 or even 40, I don't necessarily think that like decimates a basic player's budget the same way that like GTA coming out full price does.
Yeah, or like GTA coming out and being like $80 or $90 or
They
something
might
ridiculous, which it probably will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably will. Yeah, if only because they're going to be like, well, this is a
Forever
landmark
game.
cultural moment. This is like, yeah, and it's a forever game and all this other stuff. Yeah. All right. From Drew, our final question of the day. What's something you did as a kid that pissed your parents off the most?
Transitioned.
Oh,
That was a bad.
All right. On that note,
all right.
podcast
This
over.
is Aftermath.
I was like 19. So sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris. You got
this
one.
whole deal pretty much.
I don't know. I'm always nice. I'm good. I'm good. I was surprisingly. I don't know. I was probably a shithead. I don't remember the ways in which I was bad because I don't know. I guess I lack the part of myself that is self-critical about that sort of thing.
I mean, I think that I've told this story on stream or on the show before. But there's a time when me and another friend, when we were like very young children, so I want to say probably 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that area. My dad had gotten some like small saplings put in his yard, and when my dad was away at work and my mom was not paying attention, me and this friend just kind of relocated them. We pulled them up out of the ground, and then we put them other places in the ground without paying any real heed to how you should plant something so that it will actually grow. And so, yeah, my dad didn't love that. But then I think that our masterpiece was a time that we, and I think that I've also told this story before, took a bunch of toilet paper and then wadded it up, coated it, or like ran it underwater, added toothpaste to it, and then threw it at the walls of a very tiny bathroom in my parents' house. Until the walls were more or less coated with this like cement mixture of toilet paper and toothpaste we had made. And that required thousands of dollars in repairs and got me grounded for like multiple months. So I think my parents are pretty mad about that.
I feel like kids, like you're learning what consequences are, and what I mean. I remember I did this once. I burned a hole in the console of my mom's car with the in-car lighter, but I like distinctly remember the entire process of like lighting the lighter. This was when cars had lighters, pulling it out and just burning a hole. And she's like, "What the hell? Like, why did you do that?" And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I'm a child. I don't know. I just obviously I knew what was going to happen. Like it was going to burn a hole. And you just like what did you think was going to happen when you ruined the wall? You ruined the, you dumbass. Like what? What's wrong with you when you're a kid? But I think it's just how kids' brains work and how they learn about the world.
Well, yeah, you're testing the limits. You're trying to understand the world and the structures that surround you, because that's the only way that you learn. Yeah. Anyway. Right. Yeah. So thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been Aftermath Hours, weekly podcast of Aftermath.site. If you liked what you heard and would like to subscribe, you can do that at aftermath.site/products. And we record every Thursday at 4 p.m. ET live on Twitch. We also, again, publish this as a regular podcast too. You can listen to it wherever podcasts are found. Again, thank you to everybody who tuned in, and we'll be back next week. But until then, have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.